one by one, the Sharanath start making this long, drawn-out moan. Like, oh.
Do we get this outside?
Yes, you do. The ones outside, the ones standing outside, first they kind of perk up and start going, oh, and then they turn towards the door and start entering the building.
Okay.
The Guardian comes running around the corner of the building, looking around. He's got something to eat in his hand.
Okay.
And he's like, what?
Now, so we're in a cart.
You guys are hiding in the cart
around the corner.
Yeah, around the corner.
So we're peeking around the corner in essence. Is there anything out? So we're in the back of the jail. And across the street is the Justicar building.
Yes, but it's the middle of the night. There's no one there.
There's no one in front of the Justicar building.
Not at this time of night.
All right. So,
does the Justicar go into the building, or does it begin to move in?
Oh, the Guardian?
Guardian.
Yeah. The Guardian, like he's looking around trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
As soon as he passes into the doorway, I'm gonna cast Hold Person on him.
Nice. All right, let's see if he makes his save. That's a negative, Ghost Rider. So he's heading into the door with like this falafel in his hand, and all of a sudden, and he's like looking around, and like he realizes what's happened to him. He just doesn't know who did it.
All right,
we're still in a surprise round. What do you guys want to do?
Okay, so I am looking for stuff like this, right?
Yes.
So the minute I see the door swing open, I know I'm cooked if I go that way. So I just about face and go back towards the front door.
Okay. You're heading towards the front door.
Yep.
All right.
And I didn't case the front.
As you pass back by the cell block, you see that the Sharanath that were at the end of the cell block walking their beat are now shoulder to shoulder with their spears down in front of them, moving together up the hallway, and
towards me.
Well, yeah, towards the intersection. But if you're moving towards the front door, you'll be out of their way pretty quick.
Door, yeah.
All right, so the front door swings open as you arrive, and a really out of it looking Guardian comes in with a dagger in his hand, and he's looking around, and you can hear moaning Sharanath behind him, but they haven't moved yet.
All right, I'm like...
You are invisible, and you've got this guy floating by the ceiling.
All right, above the Guardian.
Above the Guardian.
Okay. Except it's useless because I'm invisible, so he can't...
Right.
All right, I'm the quietest, stillest patch of air that ever was.
All right, so let's see how stupid this Guardian is.
He doesn't look up.
Oh my god.
Ah, damn. All right, so he's like waving the dagger around. He sees the zombies, and he looks at them, and then he goes. All right, so initiative. Roll a d10 for your team. Whose turn is it to roll initiative?
Mine.
Aw. I'm going to say never mind because this guy rolled really shitty.
That's a D8 or D10.
Is that D10?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's D10.
6.
Excellent. The die reflected how confused these guys are right now. So you guys are pretty much going to act first.
Okay.
So what does everybody plan on doing this round?
I believe I'm going to... How big is this building?
It's probably maybe 120 feet by 40 or 60 feet. It's a big rectangle. But it's no bigger than a decent-sized county jail because, like the guy said, they don't really have a whole lot of people that they hold here.
How long does hold this hold person last? 2 rounds per level? About 5 minutes.
So, yeah.
About a minute? All right.
We got some time.
Yeah.
Do you have a silence spell?
I can silence a 15-foot radius.
Ooh.
Well, silence the back door.
That's what I was going to do.
Ah.
I'll cast silence on the back door.
All right, that goes off because there's nobody back there fighting right now, so that's easy enough done. Wonk. So you've got a 15-foot silent radius centered on the back door. What's next?
I think I'll put it like at the edge of the back door, so it's like around the inside is mostly centered, 15 foot inside the.
Okay.
As opposed to, in the center.
Got it.
Right.
I'll sneak up to the front and peek around the corner.
Clunk, clunk.
All right, you peek around the corner. You see that the undead that were guarding the front are
They're gone.
simply standing there moaning,
Oh, they're standing there moaning. Okay.
and their leader is nowhere to be seen.
Right, so I'll wait, and he and I can still communicate with each other. He's on one end of the building, I'm on the other end of the building, the cart's in between us.
Mm-hmm.
I'm watching the front, he's watching the back.
All right. I don't even make any noise or anything like that. I notice that he's looked up, and I'm just going to balls it out. I step out, I get behind him and out the front door with that dude. And as soon as I clear the door, I want to find out how far up I can push a tensor's floating disc.
Oh, all right.
It's an interesting question.
Do me a favor and roll under your decks to try to get past this guy. As I recall, the tensor's floating disc, I think it defaults to waist level.
Yeah, you can't really levitate it very high.
I rolled a 5.
Excellent. That's under your decks, correct?
Yep.
All right.
Dex is a
So
10.
you slide past the guy.
Right.
3
You
feet, holds weight, approximately 3 feet above the ground at all times. The
So
range
these
is
ceilings
low.
Right,
are only
so-
3 feet long.
All right. I'll let it stand that you can get him up to the roof because that was creative.
Okay.
But you can't levitate him much higher.
Doesn't move more than a half, moves 6.
Yeah. This is Tensor's floating disk version 3.67 beta. So
If unguided, it maintains a constant interval of 6 feet between itself and the wizard.
This is constantly guided.
Okay.
I'm doing everything I can to not get him seen or me killed.
Well, it's translucent, isn't it? Slightly concave, circular plane of force.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, you can look up and see through it.
You can.
Yeah.
But, my brilliant plan counted on it being a
Right.
room full of zombies.
So you got past the guy.
Right.
The floating disc is following you.
Right.
And this dude reaches down the same way he did before and attempts to clock the Guardian as he passes.
God.
17. Well, yes. In fact, he does. He upsides the head of the Guardian. Oh, that's going to be good.
I hope he doesn't kill him. Oh.
Hot 2. Wow. In all my time in second edition, I've never actually seen that happen, but it did. He made the KO roll. So with his 2. So with his just thump, and the guy just goes slump.
His brain torch. That's how you knock people out. You make the brain torch.
He's alive, but he's gonna be out for a little while.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God. Could you stop that?
All right, so I'm going to see the thing come out the
Yes,
front door.
you see him come out the front door
All right,
feet
then I whisper
first.
back to you, come on, we got to get, they're coming out the front. So I get on the
wagon.
cart,
Yeah.
back the wagon up towards the
All
front.
right, beep beep. Sorry, the wagon backs up. At this point, there's starting to be a little bit of commotion in the building as the other guardians are being woken by the
I tell the
Once he's over the cart, I drop the spell. He's a butthole.
he's in the cart. I cover him with
He's just trying to throw it off.
I grab him and I pull my hood back and I let him see my ears and I go, right, do what I say or bad things are gonna happen. Yes?
Oh, that might actually. He's never seen
Googly
it.
boogly
Oh.
googly.
All right, yeehaw. We're starting to.
Yes.
So the cart starts moving.
Mm-hmm.
So the cart starts moving faster.
I'm the thing
And
they
we're
tell you
clippity-clopping
about when you're
towards
trained to
the
nightmares.
Just out of curiosity, while you guys are running toward the gate, your charisma is what, 11?
11.
Okay, so that's going to be unmodified. Okay, so he looks like he's not quite sure what to make of you as the cart starts to gallop off, and he's like, all right.
So I just slowly put things on top of him.
I run to
Are you the female wizard?
What?
I
The
run to
female wizard, is it you?
I run to jump into the
No,
back of the
she's
cart.
still invisible.
Still invisible. I jump in the back of the cart, still invisible.
Start up slowly. We start the cart going slowly.
Right.
And then we reach a gallop pretty soon. So it's like one of those scenes where it's like.
No, I see what's going on. I haul ass. I jump in the back.
All right. How many
It's a-
horses are pulling this cart?
2.
Dead ones or live ones?
Dead ones, and they're sprightly.
All right, we're going to just drive right up the
So you're
steps,
heading right up.
down into the gate.
Well, he still has to change the
Okay, so as you come around the corner, you see that Zernef is standing up there by the gate,
Waiting for it.
and he turns around and starts doing something arcane.
Alrighty.
And you hear this voice say, Chevron 1 encoded. No, so he starts doing something with the gate. You see like these glyphs light up halfway around the gate, and then one side of the interior of the gate turns a slightly different color. It starts scintillating purple, and he's waving you on.
Alright. Clippity cloppity, clippity cloppity, clippity cloppity.
All right, up you go up the ramp through the gate,
As we pass him, I go, "Thank you for your assistance."
and he yells, "Good luck." So, passing through the gate is kind of like walking through one of those doorways where they've got high-powered air blowing down at you. It's just like you feel like you're passing through something, but there's nothing there.
Right.
There's a momentary flash of bright light, a momentary plunge into pitch darkness, and then you feel the cart rumbling as you are now traveling over broken ground in the middle of a forest.
Is it the same time of day?
It is still dark,
No.
yes.
Are there any creepy crawlies or anybody else like that around?
All you can see at this speed are trees everywhere.
All right,
Is,
right. There's nobody
is the
guarding
gate-
this side of the
No,
gate.
there
Is
is
the
no
gate
guarding.
Closed now? Is it changed?
Remember, he
Closed
sent
away?
you through the gate with no receiving gate.
Right.
So,
Yeah, so it's just gone.
it's just gone. It was a one-way trip.
All right, well, I'll yell back at our companion. Hey, this place look familiar?
He's like, yes, I know the tribe that lives here.
Great.
Bunch of assholes.
Yeah.
I put
Sure
my
they are.
invisibly. I put my arms around the barbarian hero, leaning close,
God.
say, "Thanks for letting me rescue you." Kiss him on the cheek, and then turn visible. I have, by the way, a neatly trimmed Van Dyke and
Right.
fairly hair.
That's
And
gonna earn
as,
you
as
a-
soon as he turns invisible, I go, "That's the female wizard from our world."
I flip him a
He
Johnny
looks and
salute.
says, "You're a lot prettier."
I mean, he's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
He's looking back and forth. "Your women, they don't look like our women."
You're so precious. Thank you for that. Thank you.
He says, "I suppose I should show you gratitude for rescuing me, but you did so using powers I would prefer not to associate myself with."
Oh, I'm sorry. Was I doing that out loud? Yeah, great. Yes.
I say, "This is our leader. He's captain and stuff, and we're here to find a flying ship, and you're gonna help us."
Clippity clappity, clippity clappity.
Or
Is
we'll
he
take-
still undead horses? Still undead horses?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
He likes being addressed as Lord Paladin. The fancier, the better.
Right.
He says, "What is this, Lord Paladin? Is that some form of..."
He's in charge.
I'm a holy warrior of the Church of Horonius. I don't know what this kind of word is here. All right, so I've got full armor on. This guy doesn't know what armor is, does he?
He thumps the back of your breastplate with his fist
Yeah.
and smiles. "I like it."
Right.
Well, it's not common where we're from, but it's nothing to raise eyebrows at. Well, no, I guess it is, because generally people only wear that when they're about
He
to
says,
cause
"I
trouble.
know what armor is. I'm no barbarian."
Right.
Oh, yes, no, you are not a barbarian.
Right.
Well
Focus.
made.
Focus.
That's for sure.
We're looking for a flying ship that's covered with diseases and stuff.
Is everyone from where you're from insane?
No, he's doing his best. Look,
Just us, really.
all right, what we're looking for is a flying vessel, like a boat, but it takes to the air. It flies through means you would consider distasteful, no doubt. However, you apparently know where we may find this.
Like balloons.
He furrows his brow and he says, "Who told you I would know?"
Well, there was a fellow who was at the time a tradesman, though he had apparently at one point been a guardian, who had, I suppose, taken some professional interest in you and been punished as a result.
He says, Zernef.
Yes, tradesman Zernef.
I'd wonder what happened to him."
They sent us for you.
It was with his help that we managed to break you free.
Do you realize he's the only one of those people that spoke to me?
At this point, I'm unsurprised. They seem to have a plan and a place, and if you're not in that plan or that place, you may as well be one of their farmhands.
Oh.
He says those farmhands. It's unnatural.
It's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
You're not wrong.
He's not wrong.
You're not wrong.
You're not wrong.
He says, what kind of people look for magical ways out of good, honest work? If you haven't earned it with your own muscle, what have you earned?
I'm no sailor. Neither of my friends here or the Lord Paladin here, we are not sailors. If you gave us a giant boat that was in one piece, which we don't have, we would still be at sea, so to speak, on how to use it.
He says, I think I know what Zernif was speaking of. I told him a tale of a place that my tribe found before we were wiped out. It's one of their places, with their smooth stones and their wall pictures and their glowing ceilings.
Wizard Forged.
I know where this place is, but I'm not setting foot in it.
You just have to lead us there. You don't have to go anywhere near it. Just get us in the general directions and be like, it's that way, and...
He looks around, and you see him kind of peering between some of the trees, as if he's looking for something. So I think I know where we are. It would be better where the sun up, if I could see the peaks.
Well, we can stop here for a while. I'll pull the wagon over.
All right. You pull the wagon over.
Whoa, horses. How do they stop?
They stop almost mechanically, really. But one of them kind of paws the ground a bit in a very unusual gesture for one of these almost automaton like undead. And that's when you spot one of these warrior Serathi, but it's only part of one laying on the ground in front of the horse.
Well, I'll step off the wagon, and I'll walk over to this body,
Mm-hmm.
and it's half alive.
No, it's dead.
It's not
dead.
But it's a portion of one of these things that looks like it has been sliced in half by a rather large blade. And it's only the beginning of a field. You realize that in front of the cart is the remains of a very recent battle.
Oh, okay.
Let's not stay here.
Most of the dead look like tribesmen like this barbarian guy.
Okay.
And judging by what the undead have done to them, it's pretty grisly.
Mm.
Like, they didn't just stick them with spears and swords. They rent them apart.
Well, we're looking. So, what's this barbarian's name? What's this guy?
Ah, yes.
What's your name, pal?
His name is Maslin.
Maslin. I am Brackham. This is Tam, and this is Zebula with the pointy ears.
Aye.
And we're looking for this building. I suppose we'll just call it the port.
He says,
Airport.
if it's the building that I told
Yes.
Zernif of,
Yes.
I can lead you there.
All right. Well, why don't you go ahead and lead us there? You don't want to know what's been going on around here. Looks like there's been a big battle.
Is there any weapons like that his people look they were holding on to,
Oh, yes.
like axes and such?
It looks like the weapons of the undead have been policed up and taken, but all of the weapons of the Norman are still either in their hands or scattered across the ground.
I go grab one, and bring it over and go. You might want one of these.
He looks at the weapon.
Is it an axe or sword? What is it?
It's a sword. He looks at it, and then he opens his palm and looks at the design on the guard and everything. He says, "Strange how fortune works. This was stolen from my tribe." I'll put it to good use.
Do you need a shield or... I don't know.
He says, this will do for now.
All right.
I've got a weapon if he wants to borrow one. But anyway. All right.
Which way?
He says, if I have my bearings, this way. And he points kind of off axis from where the battle was. Did you guys ever let him get close enough to see the bodies?
No.
Okay.
Try not to.
All right.
I'm gonna just before he even notices, and not a big deal, but I'm gonna pat some of, maybe all of, the dust off of his back. Cantrip, clean.
Nice.
Did you clean him?
May as well.
He's stinking pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, now he's hygienic.
So he starts leading you into the forest, and it looks like it's going to get too tight for the wagon to come along.
Okay. We don't. Yeah. We'll
Yeah.
take the wagon off the road, far enough into the forest that it wouldn't be so obvious. We'll cut the horses loose
Okay.
and just abandon the
Do
wagon right
do
there.
Do the horses go anywhere, or do they just stand there?
Well, the one on the right just stands there. The one on the left that was pawing at the body seems to want to try to follow you.
Okay, that's
Aw.
the horse that I called.
Oh,
That's my steed now.
Whoa.
you have an undead steed.
Well, it is socially acceptable in a lawful good culture.
Yeah, I don't know. If I need it, I'll use it, but I don't need to be riding a horse right now.
Right.
But we can use it as a pack animal.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You entirely could.
So,
Right.
Hang a suit of armor off of each side.
something like that.
We follow him until he leads us somewhere.
All right. So he starts leading you deeper into the forest.
It's nighttime now, too.
It is. It's
Middle of
late night. Yeah.
It's like 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. Letterman's over. So as he's pushing his way through the forest, he leads you over to a little brook that's running through, and he stops to get something to drink. He says, now I think I know where I am. We need to follow this in that direction. Upstream, it will take us to a hill that we'll see well enough when the sun is up. And on top of that hill is where this place is. But we must be careful. This was my tribe's land. It is no longer my tribe's land.
Is it fought over, or does it belong to somebody else?
He says, that depends on how many of my people are left, since I've spent quite some time enjoying the hospitality of the broken people.
That sounds like a euphemism.
He says, what else would you call them? They have no honor. They have no soul.
Understood.
They survive off the labor of their dead.
Yeah, that's, I'm kind of with you on certainly my initial reaction. Lead on, Gorthon.
He continues to follow this little brook upstream, and after a while you reach what is a spur at the bottom of a small mountain, and he points. There's a light up there. He says, see that? It's no fire, for it never flickers, never blinks. It just stares.
So it's up there? All right, so we start climbing up the hill?
I wonder if it's one of those lighthouse things, but for airships and stuff.
So, do you remember, Lord Paladin, the rope that you carefully saved?
Well, I'll
They
still have
still
around
have
my
it
waist.
around her.
Do you now?
Yeah.
Well, would you mind perhaps untying that end and handing it to me?
All righty.
All right.
I've been waiting for this moment for a long time. For at least 2 days now.
I fish
Finally
around
untie the rope around my waist and I give it to you.
I fish around in my working coat and pull out another one of my precious falcon feathers.
Right.
This one pays for all. Snap.
Okay.
And I grab the rope. I'll see you in a bit.
All right.
And I jump high into the air, hewing close to the side of the hill, cliff, mountain
Show
thing.
off.
All right. So you're able to fly right up the side of the mountain with that rope.
Right.
And as you look back down, to see your allies, you see a flash in the forest, back at the spot where you guys first arrived through the gate.
Uh-oh.
Fellas. Well, I mean, I'm not going to...
What?
Shut up.
Hey, can you say something?
All right, I find is there anything that it looks like it would be suitable to tie off the end of the rope to?
Yes.
All right, groovy. I make it nice and secure. Then I cast a cantrip to make sure that the thing is tied.
Okay.
And then I loosely grab the other end, the rest of the rope, and just sort of handle it down to them so that they know where it is. We have company. Someone's come through the gate.
Okay.
We must make haste.
Well, you climb the rope first.
Right.
All right.
I start climbing the rope.
We're climbing up the mountainside or the hillside? Okay.
I'll do like military style with my feet on the.
Yep.
Nice.
All right. Maslin looks at the rope. He says, I'll follow you as far as the top of the rope, but I'm not going in there.
Well, supposedly they sent out a hunting party to get you. They're going to bring you back to whatever city that is, and they're going to try you this morning. I suggest that now that you've... Is this the place where you wanted us to come to see?
He says, this is it.
Well, you can skedaddle if you want, or you might want to, climb the rope and come on up there with us if you will.
I don't know if I can bear your weight, but perhaps I can get you further away from here than you could on foot. The choice is yours.
He says, if they come for me, I will stand.
All right.
Well, I don't know.
I will stand with you as long as it takes for me to get the Lord Paladin and him out the door.
I'm like halfway up already.
He says their leaders, their guardians are weak. They know nothing of how to employ steel. I will climb this rope, and if they try to follow me, I will kill them when they tire.
All right, so
All right.
You go next then.
All right, so he's boom, boom. For somebody who spent weeks in captivity, he suddenly has quite a bit of energy to climb this rope. He makes it all the way up to the top, gets off the rope, and then turns around squinting at the forest, just looking.
All right, I'll climb the rope.
All right,
Okay, we're all three up.
so everyone's up.
I grab the end of the rope on the bottom and fly up with it.
Okay, you have
Just
now...
neatly coiling it as I go.
That's very tidy of you.
I'm
All right,
tidy.
so here's this big old building, so we walk around looking for an entrance.
All right. And so...
Is it a building like the one that we found earlier?
No, this one is carved into the side of the mountain. But it's recessed, and they've carved down the facade of the area to resemble their architecture. There are 4 separate entrances scattered across the front of...
Okay. I'm assuming that we're coming up on the one side of it. Not
Yes.
the middle. We're not coming up the middle of it.
Sure.
Coming up one side. Well, the first door that we come to, I'm going to walk up to it and see if it opens.
Is it morning yet?
Well, when you come up to that first door, you find that the door itself is lying on the ground. It's off its whatever passed for hinges.
All right. Well, I'll draw my sword and I'll go inside.
All right. The cave leads straight into the mountainside for about 10 or 15 feet before curving 90 degrees and then curving again 10 feet later. They've got it all kind of...
I don't go that far. I come back out.
Sure.
I tell everybody, well, it kind of goes in a little way, starts curving around. Let's go to the next door.
Okay. The next door goes straight in. What light source?
A similar dilapidated door?
Yes, this one has also been
right.
removed from its hinges.
I ask the mage to monkey up some fire.
I can cast a light on something.
I can set things alight.
Right, so we just need a torch.
Oh, understood.
I pick up a stick and cast light on it and hand it to you.
I got a stick. All right.
Works.
Light stick.
Thank you.
Elf thing.
All right.
I'm running out of sap,
I
so
kind
to
of,
speak.
put it behind my shoulder so it's not shining in my eyes, and walk in. I'm going first.
Okay.
I'll follow him with mine.
So we go in the second door.
I'll pull rear security.
You go in the second door.
It's just
You head down a wide hallway.
Is Bram following us? What's this guy's name again, damn it?
Oh boy.
Bram, I got it.
Yeah, it's Maslin.
Maslin. I don't know why I didn't write that down.
Maslin.
Maslin. All right. Right, Maslin. You can come in or you can stay.
Maslin steps in and goes, "Do you smell that?"
No. The hell do you spell, Maslin? You smell undead?
He says, "No. No. Worse."
Troll?
Oh.
He says, "Do they not have tales where you come from of the creatures that sweep in from the sky and steal children?"
Just out of curiosity, do they have wings?
Do they have
He
tits?
says, "How else would they sweep in from the sky?"
Well, they could
Ooh,
be hovering.
Do they have tits?
What?
He looks at you like you're daft.
It's a valid question. We could be talking about harpies here.
Does it have like scales and stuff on it? And
He says,
long-
no, like a lion."
Oh.
That'd be the manticores.
Or a griffin.
Or a griffin, yeah. Well,
Does it-
griffins have a bird like
Or-
Does
a
it have
flying
does it have an
lion.
eagle for a face, or does it have a lion for a face?
I said a lion,
It's
didn't I?
it's a manicore.
Fine,
I'm looking
fine.
around for some kind of spikes or... Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So what I'll do is I will, of course, get in front. Let me go a little bit ahead.
By all means,
And,
Lord Paladin.
hmm?
By all means, Lord Paladin.
All right. And we'll back out. We'll go in the third door.
Okay, you back out and you start heading in the third door. All right. The third door looks like it leads to some type of storage area. It's a large, open area. This door was a little different than the others. There was actually two of these panel doors, one of which is kind of askew, and the other of which opens easily at your touch.
Okay. So we've gone in there just, I don't know, 10, 20 feet.
Oh. Yes. However, Zebula,
Do my elf senses tingle?
yes, your elf senses tingle.
I set up and go, "There's something hidden around here. Somewhere."
You find a panel that's carved to look like part of the decoration on the wall
Mhm.
that clicks inward and then slides. And you find yourself peering into a hallway that's actually lit. There's soft glow coming from the ceiling.
Magical or fun?
Magical glow.
Oh, I'll say, I think I maybe found something more interesting than the side hallways.
All right, let's go in there.
In you go, sir.
All right, so I'll go first.
Be right behind you. A ways.
All right.
All right.
I tap the barbarian on the shoulder. Go. Don't be scared, big fella.
He looks in and says, "Why is the sun up?
It's magic.
I hate magic."
Don't use the M word around him.
No, it's all right. I mean, it has its uses. It just depends on who's using it and what for.
Magic is a weak man's way.
Do you see any giant muscles upon me, sir?
Anyway, we're
Always.
clung.
Right. He says, "I don't see any tits either." All right, so he climbs in and he's warily holding his sword, but it seems like he's a mixture of like repulsed by this place,
And
but
amazed.
kind of curious, like, huh. So, as you guys move in, he I don't smell it anymore.
Oh, that's good.
No manicore spore around here.
Can I close that door behind us?
You sure can.
I
All right,
do that.
excellent.
Shh, click.
Yeah.
All right.
Very smooth.
Okay.
All right. So, from here, the hallway goes off to your left and appears to just end. To your right, it curves around.
Well, before we start curving around, we'll go to that place where it ends,
Okay.
and we'll look around for a secret door around there too, as well.
Oh, I step in the hallway. Do I feel anything?
Actually, yes, you do find that there's a, excuse me, a very similar panel that slides, although this one's full height. Click, slide. And you are looking at what is probably the fourth entrance.
Okay.
The door is intact. You're looking at the inside of the outer door, and there's a hallway off to the right that seems to lead to a pit. About 20 feet from where you're standing.
Okay. Do we want to look down the pit before we close
Yeah.
this and go back?
I mean, we're looking for a big ship.
Might
so
as well.
Probably
All right. So I'll approach the edge of the pit,
with his white stick.
and then slowly lean down to look down in there, shining the light down in there.
All right, the shaft is smooth as if it was carved the same way the rest of this cave has been. The edge of your light doesn't come anywhere near reaching the bottom.
All right, well, we'll put it on the end of the rope and just lower it down.
There's like a gentle, cool breeze coming up from there.
Okay, that's a good sign.
So the ropes, you got what, 50 feet of rope?
Yeah, 50 feet of rope.
All right, you lower it down to the full extent of the rope and you're still not seeing the bottom, but the entire 50-foot distance, it's the same worked stone.
Is your fly still going on?
Can I go
No.
over and peer down and see if I see anything?
I can produce that effect again, but I'm going to
Say
need
again?
some rest.
Can I peer down and see if I can see anything?
Lasts a long time.
Yes,
Yeah.
you're using your elf eyes.
Mhm.
So looking down there, you see that this thing goes all the way down past about 120 feet of depth, and there's water running down there.
I relay that information. Obviously, there's water down there and
Well,
stuff.
would it be a ship that would be in the water?
I don't.
1 turn per level plus D6 for 10. So
Which in non-combat is 1 hour per level.
Yeah.
Oh wow, I'm still going.
yeah, so
You've been
All right.
hovering. You've been hovering the entire time.
Yep, pretty much the entire. No. I mean, occasionally
You're
I'll
doing
go-
that Magneto thing where you just go like this and go. Whoa.
Occasionally, like to change up, I'll like go full lotus.
Oh, good.
Just sort of float
All
there.
right, well, do you think you can take this a torch, this light
It's
that
a
you
light
have on this stick,
It's a light
and
stick.
fly down all the way down? Don't get too close to the water. Something might leap up out of the water and grab you.
Lord Paladin, it would be my honor.
All right, well,
I take the stick and I,
Suck up.
and then I just float at a decent speed downwards.
All right. So
Not like Featherfall, but proper flying.
there is a house in New Orleans. No, there is a river running underneath this mountain. It's very cool down here.
Ooh.
And it looks like the course that the river runs was naturally carved by the water out of the stone. But further into the mountain, there's something else glowing with kind of a scintillating green color. It's extending from somewhere up above down into the water.
what do you see down there?
Stuff!
Okay. Well, if there's nothing going on, I'm going to let you, go and check out anything if there's anything curious, but don't be gone for too long because we're going to have to jump down in there to save you.
My Lord Paladin, I'm a dreadful physical coward.
All
You
right.
have nothing to worry about.
Well, yeah, I know that.
That's right. He's quite scared of things.
I remember there was that time when, we had to run out of the cavern and we were being chased by kobolds and we couldn't find you at all.
Ninja? I didn't know we had a ninja.
I'm worth at least 100 conscripts. Just putting it out there. I don't have to fight because I don't have to worry about it. And they say, Tam, we need you to catch all of these men on fire. And so I say yes. And I'm saying this by myself as I'm flying down.
As you're flying down the hallway.
Yes.
All right, so you reach this thing.
Right.
It's this huge round column that has a band, a wider band around the bottom of it that has all these worked brass thingies, springs, gears, and it's glowing from the inside. It's obviously arcane in construction, but there's all of these strange mechanical things. Give me an intelligence check.
Finally, something I'm good at. I hope. A 10 from a 17.
All right. You can see that this large round, or this large band around the bottom with all the things is mounted on the column, and there are lines of inlaid brass coming down the column that should match up, but they don't.
All right. I start to think of practical matters. Is there a place down here where I could tie off that rope?
Looking around, it takes you a moment to find one, but then yes, there's plenty of stalactites clinging to the ceiling.
Understood. All right. I found what looks like another one of these big pits, but from the bottom up. And I have these strange ideas about it that are not entirely connecting, but I'm willing to mess with it a bit.
Gross.
What do you think?
I can't bear to hear you. Come back.
All right, fine. A man who can fly.
Yeah.
And the entire time I'm sort of griping half-heartedly under my breath.
All right.
All right.
What did he see, actually? I was out of the room while you were describing it.
Okay.
Does it look like a ship?
No, it looks like a big column with all sorts of brass devices all over it. And it comes down from the ceiling and plunges into the water. And it's glowing.
A column? How big around is this column?
Probably about that big around.
Does it look hollow?
For the most part, and about this big around with the band around it.
So it is hollow.
Could be.
Well, I mean, did this...
So it's a way of bringing water up or down.
Perhaps. Or perhaps a way of bringing you or him or I up or down. Magically, mechanically, I don't know.
I vote for going back in the hallway and following it down the rest of the way.
All right.
Because
Sounds
it's obviously hidden, so they're hiding something.
And I'm loath to find myself in a situation where you are not in between me and danger.
Of course.
So.
Right. All right. So
lead on.
We'll head back with this
Okay.
new knowledge, and we'll continue on down
Sure.
the
glowing-
hallway
You
with
can
with our bedazzled barbarian.
All right. So you walk down the hallway. It curves, as I said before, and then curves back a little bit, forming something of a question mark shape, and you come up on a door that's different. All of those external doors and even the cell door that you saw were carved of solid rock and then somehow set on these soundless, frictionless. This door
Wizard Forge.
This door is made of triangular shards that all meet at a point in the middle. And who's walking at front?
Yeah.
And as you walk up to it, it simply opens. All of the triangles retract into the wall.
Well, I start back
and
and just point my sword in that direction.
And Maslin does the same thing. He jumps back and he's got his sword out in front of him.
All right. Then I'll proceed with my. Do I have a shield?
Yes.
Full armor, plate mail. Doesn't shield. Okay, I do have a shield. So then I'll walk through that doorway, making sure that it doesn't bite me.
Don't die, Lord Paladin. We're
All
counting
right.
on you.
I mean, I've got.
All right.
I've got a thing.
You step forward.
Yeah.
Cretins.
By the way, it's Lord Rackham.
Lord Rackham, sorry.
Lord Rackham.
You can just call me Rackham now. You guys are familiar with me.
Of course, Rackham.
I don't have to maintain my authoritarian domination of peasantry.
What a cretin.
I was
All right.
thinking about the elves, I'm just saying.
That's fair.
None
right.
of you are in charge of me.
You step forward and see a room that looks like it was a quarters, but for someone kind of that bent. There are desks covered in papers. There's inkwells. There's all sorts of little springs and gears and things, and there's 3 other exits from this room.
All right.
I'd like to.
Each one similar to the one we came in?
Each one similar to the one you came in.
Now, are they all
anything.
cardinal points?
What?
Mm-hmm.
And we came in the south door?
Actually, you came in the west door, so you're facing east.
All right. Okay, so we're facing east.
Um,
All right, well, I'll continue all the way across the room to the east door.
Okay, and it
What's
opens on
what's
its
in
own.
that east door?
There's a hallway with a ramp leading downward.
All right,
I'd
so
like to look at some of the papers.
yeah,
and
I'll
see-
wait there
Mm-hmm.
while they go about inspecting the room.
Sure.
I'm not picking anything up. I just want to kind of look at everything.
All right. Maslin's like poking at things with his sword.
I turn to him and go, "Don't touch anything. It may turn you into a newt."
What is a newt?
Terrible thing.
Yes.
Just a shot in the dark. Is this the edition where detect magic was a cantrip?
Negative.
Second level spell, actually. No, it's
It's first level. It's first level.
It's not one that I have.
I do.
Oh, sorry.
Hey,
What?
I keep
Interestingly
forgetting.
enough, it may be one of the things you're locked out of, because remember, in 2nd edition, when you're a
Enchantment
specialty mage,
Right.
That's right.
All right. Let's put you to some use. I mean, I don't want to presume upon you or your faith or your god, but do you have a charm or a prayer or something that might reveal things which are enchanted?
I cast detect magic.
all right. There is a ton of things in this room that radiate softly of magic. And it's strange because you're used to magical items being these wondrous prized things.
Not
and
springs.
Right, and it's almost as if just workaday items in this room. There's a magical quill. Actually, it's more of a pen than a quill.
Ooh.
There are the doors are magical. The circular discs in the ceiling that are glowing and giving the room light are magical.
I hold up a very, very tiny gear that glints of mellow gold in the light, and I say, someone bothered to make a 16-in-1 gear out of pure orichalcum. Who does that? I set the thing back down.
Someone who's trying to design the ship to fly, I suppose.
I suppose.
Nothing here, boss.
Let's find the ship. Oh, I mean, there's plenty here, but it will bear a second look in different circumstances.
Bunch of magic and stuff, but nothing useful to us.
If we get a second circumstance.
You might want to search around for some secret compartments or something. Might
Oh.
be a
Ooh.
wand in a
That's fair.
drawer somewhere.
All right.
Take your time. I don't think anybody's going to find this anytime soon.
I'll go and search around then.
Without screwing around with anything that looks too expensive or too weird, I'm going to poke around and see if I can find something cool.
That, but I don't care. So, anything.
All right, so the two of you are
Corona
rifling.
protects.
The two of you are rifling through all of this stuff. I would like each of you to roll a d6 for me.
3.
My roll says a 2.
Oh, so a 2 and a 3. All right. So, you find a stone that has been carved in like a smooth oval shape. The back of it is almost like river rock, but the front of it is completely smooth. When you pick it up and look at it, the lighting over your head starts to pulse.
Oh, whatever you did, don't do that.
Why?
Because if anyone sees any pulsing lights or anything that change from the way this place normally looks, they'll beeline right here. Well, they'll probably beeline right here anyway. They're probably not stupid.
Does this stuff look like it's like fresh, or is it covered in dust? Has it been here for a while without disturbance?
Now that you mention it, there is no dust.
It's a well-maintained magic user's chamber.
I know why it's dustless.
Now you rolled a
I rolled a 3.
You rolled a 3.
Wait, no. I'm sorry.
No, you rolled a
I
2.
rolled-
You
I rolled a
3.
3. Yeah.
Excellent.
I'll go ahead and put that stone in my pack.
All right. So, you're looking through things, and you open up this little storage box that is full of little vials of various pigments that all seem to still be sealed. But when the box opens, the room is filled with music. Maslin nearly loses his shit. And there is like a little transparent figure of what looks like a Karanti child dancing around in the box.
Is that magical too?
Oh, yes.
I just closed the damn box. All right.
Well, you guys didn't find anything. What about that drawer over there? Somebody go open that drawer.
All right. I
Is there
go
a
and
drawer
open
over
with
there?
that drawer.
Have a drawer.
Indeed, there is.
Whatever that drawer is.
You
I
see,
open-
were we playing Fate, you just made a declaration. Okay. So,
yes.
indeed, there is a drawer.
I mean, isn't there a desk where there's like an inkwell and
Yes.
are they just tables?
So, sliding a drawer open.
Yeah.
There's a case, a wooden flat case that seems to open at touch, but much like the doors, there's no visible hinge. The whole thing swings open, and inside there's something that looks very much like the tools that you saw First Mate Herondal use to get a fix on the stars when you were aboard the Saberfish. Except this version is much, much more complex and has a spherical gem set in the pivot mechanism that is glowing sort of black.
That looks valuable. Let's get the hell out of here.
When they're all looking at that, I take the magic box.
Right.
Okay, you take the magic box.
Yep.
So,
I'll take everything.
which way do you want to head out of here?
There's probably a magic user riding around here somewhere.
Are there enough materials of the right sort and the right quality for me to scribe a 3rd level spell on the writing desk?
Absolutely.
All right. I go ahead and gather up enough to get me a couple of those.
Okay.
Like
Sure.
I'm ready to go whenever it gets calm enough and quiet enough for long enough.
Are you quite done
Okay.
yet? We're like standing around all
It's
three
a
of us watching
shopping
you,
trip.
Well, I was doing that with an eye towards keeping a promise.
Right. All right. Well, it must have taken you about 2 minutes to get everything all together. Anyway, we're getting the hell out of here now.
More importantly, this conversation's taken 3 minutes, so.
By the way, I mean you find the problems, I solve them.
All
Please,
right,
let's do
well.
this.
Check out the hook.
All right. So we're going to go through the north door.
Ah, yes.
Down and down.
No, we're not going through the east door. That
Yeah, the east door goes down.
Oh, we're all going down.
All right. So,
Which is probably the way to go, but I'm just kind of curious what the hell else the place.
you open the door
Yeah.
and find something you haven't seen yet since you've been here.
We don't actually
A
have to
woman.
open the door. We just get close and it
Right.
automatically opens.
Yeah, you get close, the door opens.
All right.
This room is about 30 feet wide, 40 feet long. There's stairs to your right. There's a door on the opposite end, and there are 2 rows of skeletons standing there, just sort of standing there.
Detect evil.
Just like any of the other undead that you found here, they're sort of non-entities. They're neither good nor evil. They're just standing there.
All right.
But let's not
All right,
open there
I'll-
in case they decide to attack us.
That's all right. I'll walk in there first.
Okay. Looking around the room, you see that on racks between and behind the skeletons, there are tools and all sorts of like work equipment, and the skeletons are simply standing there.
There's nothing else in this room? No other doors or anything?
There was a stairway heading north, and there is a door. I'm sorry. There's a door to the north and a stairway heading east,
Right.
going down.
Down, all right.
5 copper says that this is your dock crew,
Or the people that at least built the ship.
or the hands that built it, people or no.
All right, I'll ride that. I bet you it wasn't skeletons that built the ship. That's a good bet.
Well, not really, but it would be a wizard acting as a shipwright controlling these things.
I see. Well, you know, if you saw a lot of like undead summoning stuff in the wizard's lab back there, I didn't see much that looked like there'd be skeletons or undead in there.
That's fair. I didn't see nary an onyx nor a disembodied skull hanging from the wall.
Precisely.
No chalk lines.
Well, all right. So we'll head back and we'll go through the south door.
All right. The south door from the wizard's quarters also contains stairs going downward.
Well, it looks like we're going down.
Apparently.
We'll take the east door and the
Yes.
ramp.
So, as
Good for
you
you.
turn, reach the bottom of the stairs.
It's a ramp.
No, the ramp was to the east.
That's what
to
we're
the
doing.
south.
We're
Or,
going-
oh, I'm sorry.
we're
I thought I heard south.
So we leave that. We go through the
Yes.
east door down the ramp.
Ooh, literally. Oh. All right. So, entering this room, it is a vast archive and library. There are racks, as far as you can see by the edge of your light, full of torches. Burn it all! No, full of scrolls and papers.
All right. Now, so your detect magic spell still working?
It should. I
think it's
it-
one round
I
per
think-
level.
Let's see here.
First level. Hold portal. Color spray.
There's magic.
And a round is something like
2 rounds per level.
10 minutes at non-combat. I don't know.
It's
so
10
weird.
minutes. Yeah.
10 minutes. Okay.
2 rounds per. So it's probably still going on. Nah.
Two solid hours. It sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
So,
It still should be going on.
yeah.
See any magic books?
Do I see any magic books?
There's quite a few of them.
I'm just going there, 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 one over there.
All right, let's find
Cool,
this
there.
damn ship.
All right.
All right, so we'll go. There's no other room. There's no other doors or anything in this room.
Indeed, there is at the far end of the room,
All right, let's
there
commit.
is a door.
Let's commit. We'll
And
go to the far end of the room.
While you're walking past all of these scrolls and things, from behind you, you hear this loud, low roar.
All right. Well, can you lock the door?
No.
All right. Well, I'll get around in front. Of course, the door's closed now, isn't it? Because we.
It closes when you get away from it, yeah.
All right. So why don't you guys go check on that door? You can't reverse knock. Go over to that door. See if it's
There's
open.
wizard lock,
I'll
but I
hold
don't
off.
think you have it.
I don't have it.
I'll
There's
hold
also
off.
hold portal.
Yeah. You don't have it, but you can reverse knock.
No.
All right. Well, yeah. So.
Well, I mean, I can
What,
cantrip.
what
I
good
can,
are you?
I can cantrip a mundane lock shut
Yeah.
once.
All right. Well, see if you can get this door open, and if this thing comes through this circular, comes down the ramp
Does this thing?
into the library, I'll be there to defend you. But get that door open so we can get the hell out of here.
So when that roar happens, Maslin turns around with his weapon up and says, "That's it. That's what I was warning you about."
Some kind of manicore running around in here.
He says, "Is that what you call a thing with wings and a tail and it
Oh,
fires its
no.
bones at you?"
Yes, yeah, that is exactly what it's called.
Well, anyway, are you guys going to look at the door? Go check on that door at the other end of the library.
Aye, sir.
You can just fly down there.
I do.
Okay. You check out the door at the other end of the library.
Is it locked?
Opening it up.
It's not
No,
locked.
it just.
That's all I want to know is it locked or not.
It opens
No,
as we
it-
walk.
Yeah.
Let's get the hell out of here. We all run towards that door.
All right, so you all run towards that door.
Yeah.
Running out into this hallway that continues a good long distance.
Close the door. Is there any way we
It
can bar it?
closes itself.
Is there any
Yeah,
way
it
we
closes itself.
Is there any way we can bar it shut?
That is a very interesting question.
Anybody got
You
any-
make a wisdom check for me.
Is there any way we can? I don't know.
Ooh,
Manticore.
my
should-
wisdom is a 14. I rolled a 15.
Oh, okay. That doesn't.
Well, we don't know if manticores would be. I mean, they can just approach these circular doors. They
Yeah,
open
just
on their own.
Right.
However,
Maybe.
this door it would require a handle. It had a handle on it.
I mean, if it just unfolds, I don't think there's.
It's not one of these. It's not one of them. They're automatic doors. It's a door that you just open and close with a door handle.
I thought that no, this one's marked as one of the doors.
Interesting.
However,
Yeah.
why don't you make a wisdom check?
All right.
You're a paladin. You've got some brains to you.
12, and I got a 13 wisdom.
Excellent. So, looking around for something to bar the door with,
Mhm.
you realize that next to the door, there is sort of an outline of a hand.
All right, put my hand on it.
All right, so you put your hand on it, and all of a sudden you just get this sort of wave in your head that is almost kind of inquiring what you want to do with the door.
Lock.
All right. You hear in your head a word that you're pretty sure means something like okay or affirmative or whatever,
Right.
and then the door just stays there.
All right, excellent. So now we're safe from the manicore attacking us.
And we're stuck on whatever side
Well,
this
we can
is.
always unlock the door.
Oh, well done.
All right, so we'll continue on.
All right.
All right.
You continue on down the hallway and start feeling air moving.
Okay,
You feel a breeze.
not a good sign.
Where there's a wind, there's a way.
When there's a wind, there's an open door.
Well, that is yes.
Or there's a giant hole to fly an airship out.
That's right.
So, you pass through another of the doors and see boxes and crates and all these things lined up. And as you move past them, you see this vessel sitting there moored to the edge of what looks like a dock that's just hanging on the back end of this mountain.
All right.
The ship is just sort of
Is there a cave?
floating there.
Is there a cave exit somewhere?
There is, right in front of the ship.
All right.
Lady Luck has smiled on us, my friends.
Well, if you probe things around properly and systematically, you find that your methodology will result in quicker resolution of your considered.
Maslin just sort of boggles. He goes, "It is a ship."
All right. So,
Right, yeah.
is there any way to get on the ship? Gangway on the
There's a
ship?
gangway.
All right. Well, we'll get on
a
it.
flying ship.
He could probably fly.
Let's find out.
Tim can do it.
Fancy a spin around the bay on our little cutter?
So we'll
How
get
big of a
we'll
ship
get
is it?
on the ship.
Yes.
We'll release the moors that keep it stuck to the.
Yes.
We don't want to mess this guy's magic place up. Of course, he's probably been eaten by the manticores.
Mm-hmm.
Do we want to leave this guy here?
I offered him the invitation to come with us.
All right.
Things will be more difficult without us. We can take you, if this thing flies the way we hope it will, maybe we can drop you off where you need to be.
He says, "My tribe has been vanquished. I have no desire to join another."
Are you saying you don't want to be part of our tribe?
You can join ours. I mean, we don't have much of a tribe, really.
He says, "Have you need of a strong arm and sharp steel?"
Yeah, always. This world, hell yeah.
Can't hurt.
Hell yeah.
Somebody to watch our
He
backs.
says, "Then, I suppose I shall go with you."
All right.
I know it's much rejoicing.
Yeah.
I get on the ship and see if there's any obvious things to make it go forward, as far as options, like where the helm would be.
So, you go to where the helm is. There is, in fact, a wheel. There's also a series of, pedals and levers and things. But as you get there, is your detect magic still up?
Yep.
All right. As you get there, you see that there is, a glowing, like a receptacle next to the ship's
I
wheel.
put my rock on it.
You put the rock there. Doesn't do anything.
It's that navigator thing that you got.
I think you're right. I fish around in my coat
My rock's not good enough.
All
and
right.
pull out the nondescript metal cube
Yes.
with the funny stuff in it.
Yeah.
Take a look and see. I'll put the funny part in first. Let's find out what happens.
All right. So the metal cube thing?
Yes.
All right. That one's not doing much.
Okay.
It does feel like it's built on the same sort of arcane technology, but
about-
the receptacle's looking for something else.
What about the thing that you used to track the stars with and stuff?
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah,
Didn't you
that
guys
thing.
lift that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Hold on. I rummage around in my pack and pull the sextant.
Well, of course.
And pull out the sextant.
All right, you pull the sextant out and see that it's got this little mounting thing on it where it shouldn't be, like a normal sextant wouldn't have.
Sorry. Yes.
We're all 13.
Mounted.
The whole ship shudders for a second, and then that black gem in the middle of it starts swirling. And just like the impression you got when you put your hand on the door, as you have your hand on the sextant, it's kind of asking you where you want to go.
Before you start moving, we gotta untie it from the dock. So I go over and start monkeying around.
Just
with
getting
gangway
the
or
ropes.
I gingerly remove my hands from all control surfaces.
Okay.
whatever. All right. So
The ropes you remove manually, but when you put the sextant in,
Right.
the gangway pulled back into the ship by
I was
itself.
wondering about that. I mean, it's like tearing the ship apart while we take off.
Mhm.
All right.
So casting off the lines doesn't take much.
Sure.
I don't know anything about nautical terms except not to fall in the water.
Just use your brain. You're smart. Anyway, I'll keep an eye
That's
out. I'll
fair.
take my bow and arrow out now.
All right, so you've got your bow out. You're looking around, and looking over the side of the ship, you see that some of those undead are crawling up the mountain,
Yeah.
Time to go.
but the rest of them are still at the base of the mountain, and they're fighting with some of those barbarians.
Cool. Well, looks like we are have a negatory situation that we don't need to worry about. Let's get moving, though.
Mhm.
I feel sorry for this mage. He may have been a decent guy, and it looks like his whole. Well, given that there's a manicore running the halls, and that there's zombie undead who are going to take over. Maybe we ought to go in there and salvage as many of those books that we possibly can, because I know you guys got a hard on for books, don't you, magic users?
All right.
So if you want to fly back in there and grab as many books as you can,
I unplug the
Okay.
the gangway.
The gangway comes back,
and I'll come. We'll all three run in there.
All right. If you need to run, it'll ask you where you want to go. All right.
Yeah, I know. I put my hand on that lock.
Marvelous. All right.
You probably do the same thing when you get to the lock.
Indeed. A clear context. All right. I'll be back.
We're all gonna go with you.
No, he can fly a lot.
And I do the.
All right.
I do the weapons of choice.
So,
flying
and with
thing.
the, with the handprint, it's just like he described, just like you felt with the sextant.
Yeah.
It's almost like the magic is asking you what you want it to do. You open the door, you get into the library.
Okay, now
Open,
while they're
please.
doing that, and there's these undead crawling up the sides of the hill,
Mhm.
this is a room full of crates, right?
Yes, it is.
We're going to start dropping crates down on the undead. Then
All
we'll,
right.
we'll open them up and check out what's inside first, just in case we're not dropping some kind of expensive vase or something, or maybe some other cheaper vase.
Wait, are you saying you really care?
Well, it might be worth loading the ship with. So
Right.
Ballast. Maintaining
So,
trim.
as you start opening the crates,
yeah,
it's
well, we
certainly
open the first crate. What's inside?
All right. Inside the first crate, you're shocked when you open it because a wave of pure cold comes out,
Yeah.
and inside there's like fresh meat.
All right, that's fine. We'll start. Well, then we'll put the crate, and then drop that on the closest zombie.
Boom.
Yeah.
So the wordlessly, the zombie falls off the wall.
How
The
many-
crate lands on it and kind of rolls into the battle that's taking place at the foot. And at that point, you see one of these manticores swoop down, randomly grab a zombie, and take back off into the air.
All right, so the manticores are distracted. That means we don't have to worry about the mage so much.
Surprise meat.
Now, how many of these undead are climbing up?
Let's say there's about 10 of them. Well, 9 now.
9. Do you have any kind of cleric spells again?
Do they have any sort of? Do they have any sort of like?
I don't mind dumping.
Are they in
crates
any
of
sort of
meat
line?
down.
Anything?
Oh, no, they're not on lines. They are just climbing, free
Nope.
climbing.
All right.
Oh, all right.
All I've got is okay. How?
Well, I'll just drag another crate to the edge, open it up, check it out beforehand.
All right.
One that looks similar or has some kind of similar marking that would indicate it's meat.
Yeah, okay, fine. You're
Yeah.
able to find another foodstuff crate.
Okay, and I'll dump that one over. Hey, check out those other crates and see what's in them.
I go ahead and start opening the other crates. And see
They
what's
don't
in
look like the meat crates.
All right. Boom. Ooh, nice. That crate kind of plays pachinko with undead. It goes boom, 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 boom,
Right.
and takes 4 of them off the mountain on the way down.
All right.
You open another crate, and you're a little taken aback at what you find. At first, you think it was a shield, but it's more dome-shaped and rounded on the edge, and the bottom seems to be flat. And your detect magic is pinging hard on it, and there's 3 more of these things stacked underneath it. There were 4 total.
Why
don't you put those on the ship? Find something interesting?
There's something real magical under here.
We'll put them on the ship.
Right. I like shove them onto the ship.
I'm getting a lot.
Okay, you shove the crate on the ship.
Yeah.
I'm getting a lot of traction with these crates of meat. When is that magic user going to come back?
I'm hauling ass to the library.
All right, so just start grabbing as many scrolls as you can carry.
As many as I can carry on a Tensor's floating disk.
On a Tensor's floating disc! We're getting a lot of mileage out of those floating discs. All right, so you are able to grab a couple of chests, stuff them full, put them on the floating disc, and start coming back.
Yep.
So, time to open another crate.
Yeah, I'm just opening crates and looking to see find stuff.
All right. Where's that nifty little? You pop open another crate.
I'm waiting for there just to be some undead stored in
You
one.
could have cast detect magic on the mage, right?
I couldn't find the mage particularly.
What do you mean? Detect magic.
All
I think
right.
It's ores and the things that are around in the room, I believe.
Well, we want him to get some magic books. Those are worth more than scrolls.
Yeah.
But I don't know. He's just getting scrolls. I thought he was going to get books, so I don't really know what's going on.
Okay.
No, it's you.
Yeah, it's just me.
All right. You open up the next crate, and you find inside are a bunch of flat metal discs that are all stacked, almost like plates. But all of them are identical in size with no actual markings on them. They even look like they may have been polished a little bit. They remind you quite a bit of the lighting fixtures that have been throughout this whole area.
So when I pick one up, does it glow?
Not at the moment.
Does my detect magic detect that they're magical?
They are magical.
Put them on the boat.
Okay. On the boat. All right, you're gonna toss another
crate
meat
of meat
crate
down.
down.
Great.
All right. All right. Let's see how effective. Ooh. So at this point, there's only a couple of undead left,
Right.
and they've stopped moving. It looks like what's below the battle is not going well for the Sharantai.
Okay.
The Norman are slicing the crap out of them.
Well, all right, pretty soon we're going to have a bunch of these Norman guys climbing up here. What the hell are you doing, Maslin?
All right. Maslin is like, that is not my tribe. However, I am pleased to see them murdering the broken ones.
Well, why don't you help the cleric load up some more of these crates, and we're waiting for the wizard to come back.
He looks at the crates, he looks at the ship, and he goes, "Ha ha! Piracy is it?"
Well, we're hoping to save this magic user's this guy. Well, anyway, so I'm gonna run down the hall to see if the magic user's okay.
So you run up the hall. You see him coming back with the floating disc.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll turn around and I'll run back into the
I open another crate.
All right.
One that has the most magical aura coming off it.
The most
Because I still detect magic.
magical aura.
Well, we're not talking about suitcase nukes, are we? I'm kidding. Please continue.
Yes.
However, tune in at some point in the future for a top secret campaign where there will be suitcase nukes.
Vide montem, pedicabo montem.
Pedicabo montem. So, you're looking for the thing that is pinging your spider sense hardest. Your elven sense. And there's one crate that does kind of stand out.
I open it.
You go over and open it, and inside, first all you see is a set of the robes and metallic vestments like you've seen the Guardians wear.
Mm-hmm.
Underneath that is this polished brass or sort of off golden suit of armor. And it looks a lot like what the Guardian officers wear, but it's just radiating pure magic at you.
Oi, big man, put that one on.
All right, so I'm gonna go. The wizard's coming back down the hall.
Mhm.
I'm gonna pass by the wizard. I'll say, I'll be right back.
All right.
So I'm gonna go into the wizard's room.
You're going to go all the way back to the wizard's quarters. Got it.
I'm gonna yell out, "Wizard! Wizard!" I'll walk up to each door so they open, and I'll yell down in the hallway, "Wizard!"
Ah, so you're looking for the wizard. The question is he even still alive?
I don't think so.
The wizard what done it.
All right. There is no answer.
All right. I look around the room then. Does there seem to be, like, the last place he was? Like, there's maybe a sandwich half eaten.
Cup of Joe.
A cup of Joe sitting by. Yeah, I mean, where a bottle of wine, unfinished, might
A
be.
wine bottle.
Yeah.
A donut.
A donut.
One bite taken out.
Right.
Perfectly preserved after all these centuries.
Or a desk that he's normally at.
Yes, the desk, it's pretty obvious. And
Okay.
there is an empty wine bottle with a metal drinking cup.
All right. Well, I'll
next to it.
gather up all the papers there.
Okay.
Stuff them under my arm. Open up all the drawers.
Okay, just rifle through the wizard's stuff.
Right. I'll look for a secret compartment.
You find all kinds of random baubles that you just kind of shove in bags and pockets and things.
Yeah, something that we can maybe locate him with later. And then I'm
Sure.
going to run back. I'm going to run full speed, like jump, back to the ship.
Oh, I wish stole your shit.
I wonder what's in a wizard's junk drawer.
Everything you want.
And bits of, hair,
Mhm.
shavings, claws, whiskers.
Yep.
It's like the contents of my working
I have
coat,
new-
only
Yeah,
all at
lead.
once.
Yeah. Bits of lead, magnesium, aluminum, arsenic,
I could use some more bat crap.
galanium.
And
That
like
guano and
3 little
container.
cups of Szechuan sauce from
Yeah.
McDonald's.
Yeah.
So
I want that sauce, Morty.
Couple of ketchup.
Ketchup packets.
Yeah.
Um,
Little tiny figurine. Hey, this looks just like me.
right. Yes.
What
Whoa.
is this made out of? It seems awfully light and
Some
Your very own resin model.
takeout menus from food from Shaolong.
1973.
Delivered?
Right.
Jesus Christ! They fucking deliver food. What kind of weird future does this guy come from?
That's why you've got
Oh,
the magical gates, man. Magical gates.
It's a magical future.
All right, so you get all of that stuff back to the ship.
keep loading it up as long as we can.
Yeah,
Yes.
you keep loading it up. You keep loading it up and trying to get everything settled, and you see a couple more flashes in the forest, like the gates.
Boss, I think we should get out of here.
Agreed. Let's get while the getting's good.
What are the manticores doing down there? Are they feeding
The
on ground?
manticores, there are 2 of them,
Yeah.
and right now they are picking over
Yeah.
all of the fallen.
Oh, yeah.
The surviving Shirantai have fallen back,
All right.
and the Norman seem to be more interested in chasing them than fighting the manticores.
Did I get a diary or a little book from that desk?
Well, you got all the papers, and there was something that does look suspiciously like some sort of journal or
Journal,
log.
diary. All right, let's get the hell out of here.
All right, I plug in
Full
the
speed
section
ahead.
Mhm.
and will it to go where we saw our ship,
Oh,
like our crash ship.
so the ship smoothly pulls out of the dock and picks up speed until you're moving at a pretty fair clip. Below you see the gates are still open, and hordes of undead are pouring out.
Yeah.
It looks like various Norman tribes have decided to make a stand. The problem is, from up here, you can tell none of them are coordinating with each other.
Of course
Yeah.
not.
They're all trying to stand on their own, and it's not going to be a good day for them. But the Shirantai aren't going to make it without losses either. Sliding off the edge of the island and heading out into the ocean, you can see parts of the wreck of the saberfish are still sticking up out of the water next to that rock. Like one of the masts is kind of doing this as the waves wash over it.
Right.
And in the distance, you spot the other longboat. It looks like they're making for the island.
Nope,
Ooh.
let's go get him.
All right, I will the boat to come alongside the longboat.
I like to
Right.
be
Well,
hanging
we
over
can
the
just-
side, waving.
The shadow falls on them, and they look up, and then
Yeah.
there's a rope. That,
And I'll just
Right.
be like,
Yeah,
"Hey
yeah.
guys, it's us!
and then
We found a flying
the
ship
elf
and
pops
stuff!
over. And,
They look freaked out.
It's a flying
The
ship!"
surviving sailors are like cowering, and the captain is looking up there, and the first mate is
He's
next to
still
her.
alive, is he?
I lean over the side and wave. Ahoy, the boat! Captain, I would say permission to come aboard, but I don't know how to get down here from there. Hold on. I'm gonna try and
She
land the boat
yells,
in the
"Can
water."
you get us up there?"
Let me find
Throw a
out.
rope down.
Just tie it around,
I'm
rope
gonna-
around, and I'll pull you up
There's
All right.
that.
one at a time.
I'm gonna see if I can land the boat.
In the water?
No! Don't do that.
Well, I don't know if it's I mean,
don't bring it
The
down
word-
too low.
All right, fine.
We can just pull them up by a
I
rope.
wanted to see if it was seaworthy.
Why? Because we don't
All
Why?
right, fine. All right,
we don't
fine.
need about the sea.
Because it would be neat.
Because it would be
We
neat.
can fly. Isn't that neat enough for you?
I-
Jeez.
All right.
I
It-
suppose.
Damn, sometimes you strike me as being rather unwise.
Well,
Takes a while to get them up one at a time with the rope, but Maslin is perfectly willing to pitch in.
Well, I'll pitch
You know,
in
at
too.
this point,
Yeah.
because between the two of you, you've got quite a bit of strength going on.
That's right.
And so you get the 8 survivors aboard, the captain, the first mate, and 6 of the sailors.
All right.
And
Yep.
they're just like looking around this thing like,
I open a box of frozen meat and go, food.
Captain,
okay.
I feel as though I would make a poor commander for a vessel. I offer my services as helmsman.
She takes a look at the layout,
I mean, how do you feel, my lord?
It's an excellent idea.
All right.
and then she looks at the
I mean, wait a
sextant.
minute. Let me say that again. That's a good idea.
All right. Very
I was
well.
about to say, what the hell?
She takes a look at the sextant and says, well, we can use this to figure out what direction we need to head, and as long as you can point this thing in that direction, I assume we'll be home rather quickly.
I assume. I don't.
I checked to make sure I still have the herb.
You do.
Okay.
Fantastic.
That would suck, by the way.
I'm not
But
even gonna be
yes,
that DM.
you do. No, I'm not going to be that deep. No, you left it on the wizard's desk.
Is there any sense?
You didn't say you still had
It
it.
fell out when I was.
Is there any
rotating
sense at
them
all? I mean, I'm gonna think about it because I'm like, okay, well, apparently it'll, if I feel really hard at it, it'll know what I'm about.
How about you let the captain feel real hard at it?
Well, hold on. I've got a very specific question. I want to feel its way.
Sure.
All right. A gas tank. I mean, a metaphorical.
Oh, you want to try to figure out how far the ship can go.
Yes.
You get the sense that it can make it as far as you want it to.
Marvelous. Look, I know that we're busy. We're all terribly, terribly urgent.
Busy doing what?
Well, we're not
Eating?
now. Captain,
Having barbecue?
Captain, I would like for us, if possible, to to establish station keeping far above that city that's close by. Not far enough to cause any trouble. Far enough to just sort of be ignored. Does that make any sense?
She says,
I want to hide this boat.
above a city?
We could hide in the clouds, can't we?
I was going to say we might be able to go very far up.
Well, let's see if we can go far up. See how high we can go.
All right. Z-axis 1000.
Right.
You don't have to go. Well, what
All right.
Grab a-
It's all right. We start heading up, right?
Yes, the ship
Yes.
is heading way up.
until it gets cold and clear and maybe a touch,
The air gets a little thin.
yeah.
All right.
It's nice and cold.
Yeah.
The ship can go that high. You get the sense it can't go a whole lot higher.
That's fine.
It's not a spell jammer.
Why are we doing this exactly?
Well, because I've got a bit of writing to do, Captain.
Okay, well, now, I brought all this stuff,
I know.
and I didn't want to just steal from this guy
Oh, no.
or girl, whoever it was woman who had this wizard's compound.
Right.
But I have a feeling it might be a bit of a murder mystery. And I was wondering if you could go through all this stuff that I brought. I got some kind of diary here, maybe a journal. Here's some more papers. I wish you could just go through here and tell me if we can figure out if this person's still alive, so we can return all this stuff to them.
That's fair.
I also
Actually,
feel
not a
like
bad
I
idea.
should maybe remind everyone that this thing here is supposed to heal a person who's dying. And maybe we should go save the dying person.
That's
Well,
not a bad idea.
You got some kind of way of magically locating somebody who you got enough data on?
I'm just saying.
Captain, why don't you stand at the helm for a second? Just indulge me, please. And see what the boat tells you, or if you're able to talk to the boat.
She says, talk to the boat.
You just think about what you want. It'll ask, I promise. You'll feel it, or you won't, and then I'll ask.
All right. She stands at the helm and just sort of stands there for a minute. And then she puts her hands on the wheel. And then she puts her hand on the sextant and kind of cocks her head for a second. And then when she takes her hand back, the sextant starts to move on its own and sort of take its own headings. And then she turns to you and says, I think the ship can get us back to Neverwinter.
Can we accomplish our mission first?
We have the thing. We have a way to get back to save.
You're
person
taking
who's
the herb
died.
back to
Oh,
Neverwinter.
I'm sorry. That's I'm.
No, we have a sub quest here.
Oh, see.
Wait, let me say that again.
Right.
No, we got ourselves a sub quest here. What we got here is, otherwise we've just done ripped off this man. They might come back and say, who the hell took all my shit?
It took us months
Months?
to travel by sea this far. Months.
Yeah.
I don't know if it'll be a matter of hours to get back to Neverwinter. I suspect there may be enough time for me to properly root through this other wizard's belongings and tell you what you need to know.
Right. Meanwhile, I'm going to have this halfling cook up some barbecue, and we're going to have ourselves quite a celebratory meal upon this rather magical
So,
craft.
First Mate Herondal looks up at you and says, just because I'm a halfling, you expect that I can cook, don't you?
Of course, I've had your food before. Quit making fun of me.
Well, you're not wrong. So,
I'll help him go through.
since the
notes.
boat is apparently also carved from stone, Herondal makes a little area to kind of start a little fire on the deck and starts cooking.
Amazing.
There might be a little grill.
This is a really.
There might be if you look through it.
Yeah, there's got to be a galley.
There's got.
I'm gonna help him to go through the notes and stuff like that
Okay.
to make it quicker.
Thanks, John. All
Well,
right.
who else can read? I can't.
So I dig through the notes.
All right. Digging through the notes, it tells a fascinating tale. Something beyond anything you guys would have expected. Not only was this obviously where a wizard was doing research, the wizard was researching how to take control of the forces of nature itself around the island. There are diagrams and schematics and spell formulae and notes. They never got it to work, not yet, but had they finished what they were doing, they could have controlled the weather around the island of Jakandor completely. There is some sort of infernal machine built in to this cavern system, and that giant column that you guys found was sort of the arcane equivalent of a cooling tower.
Right.
Oh.
Well, the wind.
However, the entries in this log just stop abruptly.
Yeah.
And it's hard to tell why or when it happened because they use their own dating system.
Right.
You know, being able to read another language doesn't necessarily line up their dates for
However,
you.
you can kind of look at the ink and see how long it's dried. You'd have a
could.
sense of that from using a lot of ink for a long time.
There is. Let me see what I can see. Oh, yeah.
You
All
know,
right.
The paper's not that old, right? It didn't crumble to the touch, which would
No.
probably be indicative of paper that was 50,
Ah.
60 years old.
There might
And that's
also
something else interesting. Go ahead.
there might also have been a persistent enchantment laid on the environment. If they're able to change the island's, completely control an island's weather patterns, then a perpetual clean cantrip cast on a room would be child's play.
Exactly. And according to those notes, those odd
Circular disc.
the ones that were dome shaped,
Mm-hmm.
that was a side project that this wizard created. They are exactly what you just suggested. They're sort of, and I found this really funny because this is part of the Jakandor stuff that was written 30 years ago.
Yeah.
And they basically presaged the Roomba, more or less. It is a clean cantrip on like a little autonomous thing that floats around your area and cleans things.
Amazing.
And so this wizard had created them as sort of a side project and had created a bunch of them to keep that whole...
Couldn't just cast a permanent or permanency upon an unseen servant and have them, sweep up every day.
Yeah, but doesn't permanency take like 5 years off your life?
Well, yeah, it does a lot of weird shit to you. All right,
Yeah.
so
Nerds
now, is
invent
this
the future.
Is this a sort of made this game system, Jakandor?
Mm-hmm.
Is this made in conjunction with Spelljammer? Because it seems rather Spelljammer-esque.
No,
doesn't
it is not.
does.
Jakandor came out as a result of the D&D writers wanting to write something where there was not a clear good guy and bad guy. So they created it as an island so you could drop it into any campaign setting. In this case, I used the Forgotten Realms just so I would have names for cities.
Mm-hmm.
But Jakandor is designed so that you've got the Shirantai on one side, who are apparently lawful good necromancers with a huge sense of justice. And on the other side, you've got the Nor, which are kind of Viking Japanese Klingons, sort of. Like they're very honor-oriented, battle-oriented. If you haven't earned it by the sweat of your brow,
They're Vikings.
it's
yeah.
not exactly.
Yeah.
And so both of these civilizations kind of have their own way about them, but they're not compatible at all. And so there's the conflict.
Yeah.
And so they've created this setting so that players could experience something that's not standard Western fantasy.
Right.
Something
This
that's
is
not
evil, this is evil, you're good, go destroy it. type thing.
exactly.
Nary any Tolkien to be found.
Right. And so it came out in 1998, right before TSR got bought by Wizards. So it kind of slipped through the cracks. A lot of people never even heard of it, like we hadn't, until I ran across it in that
Well,
list.
Spelljammer was rather obscure too. But that was an earlier publication.
It was. Spelljammer came out much earlier in
Nin-
second edition's run.
1991?
It was a
It was
box
earlier than that. I
set.
think it was 89.
It might have been that early. I can look it
Let's
up.
check it up. Yeah, we need to know because we're the scholars.
I will look it up.
I think we've reached the end of the adventure, in my opinion.
We have reached the end of the adventure.
Is it about 10 o'clock?
It is 10:40.
All right. Well, this is worth discussing.
Sure.
Okay.
Let me look for
That went pretty
Spelljammers.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Thank you. I tried to pace it so we could finish in one night.
Typically, the tournament module in LG would be
You were right, 1989.
There would be an encounter, sub encounter with some sort of banditry or something like that. So you'd have a fight, and then there would be a second fight, and the second fight would be either slightly easier or slightly harder than the first fight, and then of course the third encounter with a fight would be the aimed fight, which you were anticipating to confront. And that happened on every module. It's very much
Right,
like a
very
formula,
formulaic.
like like an episode of Phineas and Ferb, or
Right.
like an episode of Dexter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So one of the things that there's a point where you're sort of just riding the narrative, and you don't get a sense of being a participant in the narrative. And when we were doing LG, it would be that moment of the combat would give you more of a sense of participating in the vector of the story. But you didn't follow that formula, which was maybe a little refreshing for me. But we didn't have any combat at all.
No, I was surprised with that.
Yeah,
you
we
kept
kept
trying to- you kept
we
trying to
kept
get us
skirting
there.
around the
Yeah.
combat.
I
felt-
know.
I felt
I
like
know
you
how
kept-
to do that. That's
yeah.
the way you should do it anyway. I mean, because you used to get experience for treasure.
And
So I learned, 0 edition, 1st edition. Even though you would get experience for monsters,
it wasn't very
the same
much.
as getting the experience but to the treasure. You'd get like 1,000,000 gold. You'd be like, I got 1,000,000 experience points.
Yeah.
So I kind of learned that technique. But at 3.0, they were really testing out, their sort of readaptation of chainmail.
Yes.
So, and they had already tested the system of Living City. Did any of you play Living City?
No, I'm familiar with it, but I didn't play it.
Well, it was Forgotten Realms.
I played a few games of Pathfinder Society, but that's it. That's the closest I've come to that.
To that centrally administrated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, you guys missed out on this.
What was it? What did we miss?
So this is a monster that was created specifically for Jakandor. It's called the Silver Spider.
Oh,
it is
didn't you have us fight that somehow?
I was trying to get it in there, but
Put it on
just
the
have
ship.
it descend from
It
the
comes
pot
from the top of
cavern.
the ship.
Or
I
maybe
should have.
It's trying to
I
figure
should
it's
have.
in
one of the crates.
it's in a surprise! It's a spider.
Or it just crawls up from underneath the ship, and we're like, well, shit.
Or it's
Like,
in the
we need
hold.
the ship.
It's in the hold of the ship.
Hey, go find some of that meat.
Yeah, come on. Of course.
I was really
getting
worried
late.
about just opening.
Well,
that
yeah,
and
the
being
spider
dead.
was supposed to be on the docks, and I didn't drop it because it was after 10. I heard your alarm go off.
Oh, my gosh, that's pretty good ears. I didn't hear my alarm go
Yeah,
off.
I heard your phone beep,
Oh.
and I was like, "Oh, we
It
need
doesn't
to-"
beep. It goes ding, 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 ding.
Oh, really? Because I heard, unless it was someone else's phone,
My phone went
because
off.
I heard
It was
something
this,
happen. Oh, was
He was
it?
playing with the
Ah,
I did that and I cast a magic spell on you of forgetfulness.
right.
What does the spider do?
So the spider was created by the Chiranti as a non-lethal guardian. So it can kill,
So just
but
web
what
you,
it
or-
tries to do is subdue so that they can bring you to justice.
So it just
later.
webs you.
And so, well, it can obviously, or it can actually attack with mandibles and stuff. But its poison is a more knockout
Okay.
poison.
It's a metal spider.
And it can use instead of spinning webs, it creates a magical skin like around you,
Right.
which lasts for
Cocoon.
24 hours, like a cocoon,
Yeah.
and just like, okay,
Cocoon, you mean.
you're down for 24 hours.
You can't get out of it.
Magitech, really.
Yeah, it is Magitech. And, the thing was, the more I read these 3 books over the last week, the more I realized there's a lot more than one evening's adventure in there. There's all this culture stuff that I tried to weave as much of it in as I could as we took our whirlwind tour.
Yeah.
But there's a lot more to it. Like, there's a whole section on what is Chiranti justice? What do they consider fair? And it's like half a click to the left of what you would assume, because they're lawful good, but it's their law, not everyone else's law.
Yeah.
And one neat aspect that I wasn't able to figure out a way to work in with the speed that we needed to run was they don't just create these zombies. Skeletons are very rare. They prefer the zombie types, but they will also take a deceased person who was very wise or very learned in a subject and basically put their brain in a box, more or less.
Yeah.
They create these magical artifacts that contain the soul of the departed. And you can
like
ask
jar,
it. It's like magic jar.
Or a limited lich.
And you can ask it questions depending on the power of the mage that created it, more or less questions in a given time period.
4,000 quaaludes for the newcomer.
Exactly.
we would say quaaludes, but
yeah, quaaludes.
4,000 quaaludes for the newcomer.
We did that once at a
6,000 quaaludes.
At a Starfleet event. We had a bunch of people with boffer swords, and we made brains out of Jello molds and put LEDs in them. And so we had guys behind this thing clicking the LED and 4,000 quaaludes and 3,000 quaaludes. It was pretty cool.
All right.
Well, it's an interesting system, just because, like, as far as most players, they'll go undead, kill.
Yeah.
And they won't even take the
See,
time to cast. Because I was wondering if we were just, I was like, are we just... But I think what it was is because they were farming and not doing anything to us. We were all, instead of just like undead kill, we were all like,
wait a minute.
What's up with these?
And that's what they do. They use the undead to do all the unpleasant tasks so that they can all be thinkers and artists and creators.
Yeah.
And so if they need the fields worked, if they need soldiers, if they need,
strong class commentary and like.
Yes, the Shirantai have a very
stratified culture.
And I will say,
order
if
system.
he couldn't have flown or cast invisibility, this would have been a very different.
Yes, it would.
Different.
Well, see, and that's one of the reasons
you
the
would have chosen
characters
monk.
were only 5th level, because it's almost like I always argue with my friends about role playing Star Trek. I always do original series, because once you do next gen, they've got replicators, and now you have to write your way around so many problems.
Yeah.
Magic really changes what the players are capable of.
Yeah.
So that, there would have been a lot more combat had it not been for a couple of those spells.
Yeah.
Well, also, 14-year-old me, having encountered this adventure, would probably have started hacking up the undead.
Right.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
But 44-year-old me has had enough experience outside of all this stuff to think about things like cultural relativity and what one custom might be compared to another person's custom.
It might be worth it for a future episode after we're done with this pilot series to grab a bunch of kids that have never played and capture their first game on camera.
Yeah.
Like, capture that first moment where they play D&D for the first time.
And capture that moment that blows their mind on film.
Well, my son is a perfect candidate for one of those. And he's been, they run D&D out of the libraries now.
Yeah.
And the librarian came out and made an extraordinary comment. She says, the way people are playing games now, they're all by themselves, and D&D now has become a way to normalize socialization.
Yeah.
Before it was the people that couldn't socialize would go play games. But all right, well, I'm going to go turn the cameras off. I enjoyed the discussion afterwards. That's very useful.
Yes. Yeah. I love the AAR.
Yes.
We need confessionals where it's just us in the room. We're like, that DM, I'd have never fucking done that.
Yeah.
Actually, yes, having like separate interviews afterwards, sort of like